want to talk to you guys about the SWOT analysis and get a little bit more information inside of it. What are SWOTs? Well, essentially it's a way business organizations and individuals use a report to report on themselves and look at their weaknesses, their strengths, identify issues. And it's a way to self-assess yourself and say, hey, I need to grow here, I need more education here, I need friends' help here. So let's look at some of the ideas. Well, what's a strength? Well, you guys can think of a core class as being a strength, correct? Yeah, these are all things that are helping you build your backbone. They're skills that you learn tacitly. I think you guys all heard my story about learning fishing from my grandfather, or how I learned how to change a tire from my father by watching him get the jack out from underneath the seat, look for a proper brace underneath the car that was sturdy and strong, make sure the ground was level, and then jack up the car, check it, wiggle the tire and everything safely to make sure the car isn't going to move or fall before you went anywhere near it. Taking the tires off, cracking the lug nuts with a kick with his foot. This is all things I learned by watching, and it's things you have as well. You've learned from friends and peers. You've learned things from your professors. You have a lot of experiences. You've also gained things from your community. I grew up with the Boy Scouts, and I learned how to tie knots. I learned safety precaution with knives and fires. I learned how to hike. I learned how to read a compass. These are all things you can share. You never know what's going to help. I also learned how connotations and culture can really hurt a person. Boy Scouts were big on equality, making sure everybody was included. This is something you need to think about in your interface designs as well. Weaknesses are usually the things we don't like to talk about, or we don't point out, or we don't want to accept. We have to look at our current weaknesses, and this is how we get stronger. Do you need more education? Well, gang, you always will need more education. I've been going for 25 years, and the first thing I said when I walked in here is I need to get another master's so I can teach more. I'm reading books at night on topics I have nothing to do with. I'm reading legal documents to help myself learn more about interesting facts and figures that will help you guys stay out of trouble, out of jail. So you don't have to think about weaknesses as a weakness, but think of them as a way to say, I know that I need to grow more here. I need to be proactive. Are you having problems with time management? Maybe you create a Google Calendar. I do it. You guys want to see one of mine? I put in there constantly additions to everything that I do. And I will look for, let's see if I can pull up my calendar. I start when I have 2 or 3 for each place that I'm looking. And every month I put in different agendas, pieces that I need to do. This is a new one I'm starting right now because I just started a new Google account, and I'm using it just for your classes and some of the things the president's. You can see here I was asked to go to his event. These are simple tools that are free to us, so use them. This is our field. If you have time management problems, figure out a way to look at it. How do I change this? And think about ways to make your weakness a benefit. Benefit from a weakness, right? Okay. How do you overcome something? Do you have a friend that you can ask for help? How about a librarian? How many of you have gone to the library recently and just asked any of the librarians to help you research out interfaces or a topic or something, or design, legal issues and structures of the internet? There's a lot of people out there that are just willing to help you because they love to help people, but they never get the chance to because nobody ever asks them. These are opportunities. How can you make an opportunity? What is an opportunity first? Education, we discovered thus far, is a big one. Next semester, some of you are graduating this one, but what's the next semester? I always say, what's your next semester? And like, well, I'm done. No, you're never done. Take a summer course. Take it in painting. Take it in drawing. Something that totally contrasts what you know now, because it'll help you. Think about how learning color and balance could help you in designing web pages for your future employer or your own business you want to start. Talk to your friends. Hey, I got an idea. Let's get together. Maybe your mother and father, you can teach them and mentor them, and they're going to say, you know what, I want to know this. And you're like, you know what, Dad? I wish I did too. Let's do it together. Mentors are a great thing to have. Where do you get them? You already have a bunch. They're called your faculty. You already got a bunch more. It's called your peers. How about starting a club, mentoring club here on the campus? I don't see one right now. I can surely tell you that I could talk to the dean and help you guys get one going. Maybe we have other clubs or interests. How about internships where you start a feeder program by going and talking to one of the local community leaders and companies and say, we really want to be part of you. How do we do this now? It'd be pretty hard pressed for them to say no. So opportunities are also vulnerabilities. Why do I say that? Well, if you stop yourself, if you don't think about things proactively, what are you going to do to further yourself? You have to think of your future as constantly changing and evolving. You have to think about, how can I beat the curve before the curve comes on to me? If you're driving a car, or some of you drive motorcycles, what do they train you to do? Look ahead through the curve, right? They want you to see any problems or issues in the road so that you can focus while you're going through it smoothly, but always keeping your eyes on the front of you. You don't just look at 2 feet ahead. You look at 300-400 yards ahead. So opportunities are a great way to change yourself and your future. Gaining a mentor is a #1 way to do this. It's free in most cases, or a cup of coffee. I charge all my students that come to me. We sit for a half an hour. We solve world problems. We go to my bookshelf and look at books that I read, and you share with me, and I grow. I have past mentors right now that are my mentors that will be there forever. I talk to them weekly. Why? Just because they encourage me. They make me feel better. I want to grow. I want to meet their expectations, and they never let me stop. Dr. Scavera is one of my favorite mentors. He's a professor in the graduate program that I went through in the doctorates. He pinned me. But we talk weekly. We also talk with his peer. And I talked with a second instructor from that school, and they both tell me the same thing. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep reading. You got to keep changing yourself, reinventing. What are you writing? What are you doing? They don't let me sit idle. The first teacher I had is still in my life. So is the first person that helped me graduate college. We meet monthly. We have dinner. We talk about the field. We talk about changes and how we help each other and other students. I'm helping him rewrite curriculum for his program because he found it had a weakness. Threats are things that we sometimes can't control. And I like to look at this in a 2-stage. Your circle of control is what I like to call, the idea as to what threats are that can be worked out. So what is a real threat? Is work a real threat? Well, not really. Sometimes we have scheduling problems. School can be, or funding, but there's always ways to work around that. Friends can be a big threat. How many of you go out on Wednesday nights or Friday nights, and every time you have to go, you have a report due, say for my class, and you think, well, I should stay back and just reread it, look for spelling mistakes and grammar issues, but I really want to go out with my friends, just hang out and have a good time. Well, there's a time for that. Everybody needs an hour a day for themselves and that weeknight off and weekday off to do that. But what happens when your friend becomes the friend that's the threat? And what do I mean by this? How many of you have a friend out there that will come up and say, hey, Joe, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Hey, I see you're studying. That's cool. Why don't we go get a coffee? You're like, all right. You put your book aside, you go get a coffee. Next day, Joe comes back. Hey, man, what's going on, Scott? Nothing. I see you're trying to catch up on your notes and studying again. Yeah, that coffee was good. You know what? I'm hungry. Why don't we get in your car and go to Wendy's and we'll get a hamburger. They're pretty good over there, and a coffee at Starbucks on our way back. You're like, all right, yeah, you're pretty cool, Joe. Why not? So you get through the week, and Thursday comes. Here comes Joe. Hey, man, that hamburger at Wendy's is really good. I need new shoes. What are you doing? Your car's really nice, man. Hey, how about let's go over to the mall, to Macy's. I got to get a pair of shoes. We'll swing by Wendy's, get another burger and Starbucks, and we'll swing back around and see what's going on later. And you're like, I really got to study. I got to get this paper done. These are things that are dragging you down. He's your friend, but sometimes you got to look at your friend and say, hey, Joe, I got priorities. This is my priority. Me taking you to get a hamburger and shoes is not a priority. Take the bus. So time can be a threat. Are you looking at these issues? If you're not thinking about it In a win-win situation, you're causing yourself problems. You're creating threats. If Joe is not on your timeline and worried about your academic adventures or your ability to maintain your time at work, it's not a win-win situation. When you're free and Joe's free, that's a win-win situation. But when Joe just wants you to be on his time, that's called a win-lose, and you're the loser. So sometimes you got to look at those threats, and even though you're friends, your partners, or it might be your boyfriend or girlfriend, you got to say, hey, I'm sorry, this is not a win-win situation. I have to win, you have to win. Let's revise this. Let's do it at 7 o'clock tonight when we're both done studying. Well, it doesn't work for you? I'm sorry, it doesn't work for me, so you have to reschedule or do something else. Threats are the hardest to deal with. I call this the circle of control. You have to learn how to be the one in control. There are measures like this that you can take control of. Sometimes there's things outside of your circle of control. That's the second level. Those are those threats that you can't really help. Maybe your funding gets cut. Well, there's ways you can go about that by talking to mentors and peers, looking for grants from your school, looking for different ways to do that. But you never want to just say no, right? You always want to look for those win-win situations, not win-lose. You have to change your mindset to a center of control mindset. The things that are in your control right now are the only things you can control. If they're outside of your control, you can't let them build up anxiety and stresses on you. You have to let them go. For example, a lot of times I've been fighting with D2L, Bright Space, and I can't control these problems. I get upset because I can't meet the demands of what you guys need, which I think are above and beyond what I can really control myself sometimes. And I have to say, I need to get help. So I've gotten a mentor to help me help you. That's one way I control this. But when it's outside of my mentors and I's problems to where the company who creates this does updates and doesn't tell people and it causes bugs, we can't control that, so we can't be stressed out. But what we can do is say, well, we can control this by notifying you, saying, hey, we're having issues. Hey, we're having problems. We'll get this controlled. Let's work together. That's a way you control things that are outside of your control. We can't make a company do something. But what we can do is control our actions and our mindset by allowing ourselves the freedom to say, hey, we can do so much, but not so much of this. This is creating win-win situations. Or we can get a mentor, or we can call for a mentor at the company to help us with their problems that they create. There's all kinds of different situations like this. The same thing in the coding world. Maybe you know Cobalt and your other friend knows Python. So you can't do something. But you can work for a win-win situation by working together and bringing that knowledge into your circle of control. This is all the things I'm trying to teach you guys a little bit outside the box on the business and management side. So when I ask you to do reports and you think about how you do this, you're going to do this the rest of your life for your employers. I'm doing one today for the dean on myself. It will be a constant revision. But if you look at it proactively and you look at it with open mind, you're going to create a win-win situation for yourself by identifying weaknesses and threats and learning how to overcome them and add them into your strength category, add them into your opportunity category. And that's how you become a great growing person. And more importantly, you learn to self-assess your educational needs in life and how you can further yourself. All right, gang, have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.